fat people are all terrible, overeating, gluttonous monsters. And they're not healthy, and I hate them.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Body Honesty Project. My name is Lydia, and today we are talking about the types of fatphobia deniers. Because according to Tracy, there are only two types of personalities a person can have if they don't agree that the world is fatphobic. Interesting how these fat talkers often like to remind us just how diverse and different they are, and to not just lump them all into one category. Yet, if you don't agree with them, they think that you can only have one out of two possible personality types. So, to learn more about these personality types, let's hear from Tracy.
There are two types of people who say fat phobia isn't a thing. The first type is people who think fat phobia isn't a thing because they're like, well, it's not a phobia. You don't have a phobia of fat people. I don't have a phobia of fat people. I just fear being fat with everything in me and would kill myself if I gained any weight. The second type of people who don't think fat phobia should be a thing believe it's not on par with other oppressions, such as, xenophobia, homophobia, whatever. And they say fat phobia is not a thing because fat people fucking deserve all the hate they get. It's not unjust like homophobia. It's deserved because fat people are all terrible, overeating, gluttonous monsters. And they're not healthy, and I hate them. Yeah, fatphobia definitely isn't either of those things. It's not real. It's fake. I made it up. I made it up to fuck with you.
So, let's talk about the first one.
Is people who think fat phobia isn't a thing because they're like, well, it's not a phobia. You don't have a phobia of fat people. I don't have a phobia of fat people.
The people that say it's not a phobia because I'm not scared of fat people. And then she turns around and says, it's not really the fear of fat people, it's the fear of getting fat. That's the phobia. Well, I don't think it's fair to use a word as strong as phobia. This is just something people do not want. The same thing as acne or wrinkles or gray hair. We're not phobic of these things, but they are things that we would rather not have. And this whole movement just screams fitphobia to me. Fitphobia and health phobia. People exaggerate all the time. It's hyperbole. But people don't actually fear getting fat. Most of us just don't want to get fat and do things to prevent that from happening. Then for the second type of personality,
it's deserved because fat people are all terrible, overeating, gluttonous monsters. And they're not healthy, and I hate them.
That apparently fat people deserve hatred and bullying, and that people hate them. Now, I'm not going to say that this type of individual doesn't exist. I'm sure that they do. And yes, they would be fatphobic. But most of us fit into neither of those categories. Most of us agree that bullying and attacking fat people is wrong. Most of us agree that hating on people for just living their lives is wrong. And even doling out unsolicited advice could be wrong. I do see the hypocrisy as someone who has a YouTube channel. And then, of course, she had to compare fatphobia to other groups that are also discriminated against.
Believe it's not on par with other oppressions, such as, xenophobia, homophobia, whatever.
And the reason why people get offended is because it is not the same thing. Fat discrimination is the only discrimination that has counter-privilege. All the other discriminations don't involve a luxury that someone would have to give up in order to not be discriminated against. And due to this counter-privilege, it's not the same thing. There are elements that overlap, for sure. I'm not saying that they don't get bullied. But the counter-privilege of never worrying about your health, the counter-privilege of eating whatever you want, the counter-privilege of never being accountable to go and exercise, makes it so fatphobia can never be on the same level as the other groups. Never. If any of the other groups had a counter-privilege to give up to not be oppressed, then it might be the same. But because the effort to get out of the oppressed state requires the relinquishing of a different privilege, it will never be the same. The disagreement that most of us have is that not everything is fatphobic. I think Tracy once said that her purse was fatphobic. Her boyfriend's apartment is fatphobic. Like, everything is not fatphobic. If you go to the doctor and you don't get the proper care and all they do is prescribe you to lose weight, even if it's unrelated, that's medical fatphobia. I agree. But if you go to the doctor and find out that you're pre-diabetic and your doctor prescribes you weight loss, that's not fatphobia. That's a doctor doing their job. So, according to Tracy, if you don't believe in her definition of fatphobia, it's either because you don't think it's a phobia, because you're not scared of fat people, or it's deserved discrimination and you hate them all. There's no in between. I do agree with aspects of fatphobia. I do agree that there is discrimination. I do agree when I see some of the comments, these people do get bullied. I understand. But I don't think things like smaller desks or airplane seats or clothing sizes are fatphobic. It's supply and demand. And I'm sure that as we continue to get larger as a population, the supply will eventually catch up. They won't have a choice if we just keep on getting fatter. So you tell me, which personality type are you? Are you the it's not a real phobia because I'm not afraid of fat people? Or are you the fat people deserve all the bullying and discrimination they get and you hate them all? Or are you more likely somewhere in the middle? I'm interested in knowing. So until next time, stay body positive, but also body honest.